It's interesting that when you invite us to talk about a particular time or memory in the church, that what happened, we all talked about a confirmation experience. But it is true that is kind of and intended to be an intensive time in a young person's life. I think it's a work of the devil that it happens in junior high, that at that challenging time of age. But on the other hand, the world is opening up and their lives are in formation.
Well, I was in the last class that Dr. Bowers had for confirmation, and we went 2 years. And a group of us from the city, we would come. It was Sunday afternoon, and we saved our car fare, and we would walk home and get an ice cream cone at High's and walk home to the city. And that's about all I remember. They were some of my very best friends were in that group, and remained my good friends until their death.
If you were to look at your confirmation, I mean, I love the confirmation pictures that are on the website, and if you look at those, how large the classes were, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we had a very large one because we had the latest one for Dr. Bowers, and everybody wanted their child to be confirmed by Dr. Bowers.
So they
was a big
shoved
one. And it was just that time that we were 13 and 14.
Confirmation, when I went through it, it was with Pastor Loddick. It was 3 years back then. Mm-hmm. And you came here every Saturday morning for 2 hours, I think. We sat every Saturday morning for 2 hours with whoever was teaching us at the time. Lowell Rao was one of our teachers 1 year. Stan Gerhardt was the teacher 1 year. And then when you got to be in 9th grade, Pastor Loddick took over. Our group was a little bigger than yours, but not much. Not much. I think we had 7 or 8. There is a picture. It's on the Salem Players website.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody from that group is still around as a member. One thing I want to say about then versus now, we did not have a youth group when I was coming up. There was a group of us who kind of hung out together and ran around on Sunday afternoons, and we called ourselves the youth group. It was Dave Rao, John Loddick, Bob Kazee, and me. And my mother let me run around with these guys. She never questioned anything. We just, we went here, we went there, and had a really good time. And we all knew each other from here and felt very comfortable and very safe together. But that was the youth group at the time.
There's been several references to how large the Sunday school was.
Yes.
And back right after the war, we actually had 3 services, and there were close to 500 children on the rolls. Anyhow, they didn't all come. I don't know where we would have put them because this building did not exist.
No, it did not. That was 1955 when this was put in.
And the fact that we had so many children at that time sparked this building, the building of an education. This was known as the education building wing.
I think you from the Sunday school perspective, it some years it's a huge amount of kids that come in, and there's other years it's a small group. But it's always nice when that huge group continues to move.
Yeah.
From the kid, you'll see them all in the little, and in first grade, and then in second grade. But by the time I did 5th and 6th, no, they haven't all, so it's really nice when that big group channels through, and then it will channel.
I want to change the subject a little.
Good.
Integration came into being, and I taught school in the city, and it was a big thing. Well, we decided here, the World Friendship Society decided that we would invite a black church from the city, and they came for tea, and we had a delightful afternoon, and we were to go back to their church, and the riots came, and so it was canceled. So after the riots were over, Elsie decided that the choir would go into a black church in the city, and they made arrangements, and we went there for one of their services, and that was a big milestone here in Catonsville.
We briefly mentioned the refugee supports that have been provided by the congregation. I think that's been a good experience for Salem, and it's also done a lot of good. We had the first family came in 1975, the Lee family from Vietnam, and a few years later, I think 79, and there's a member of the Lee family still worships, is still part of our congregation. In 79, another family came from Vietnam. We thought this was going to be great. It'll be so supportive to have another Vietnamese. Well, it turns out their ethnic background was very different and hostile, so that they didn't
We were looking
blend
at the
well.
airport. They were.
And the Vongs was the only family that didn't sort of assimilate into the congregation in some way. And the Allies came from Kosovo. And are still associated. They aren't Christian, but they're still associated with the congregation. And the Mabels, who are from the Sudan, but have probably become integrated in the congregation more than any of the other families.
Well, the Lees were very involved for a long time.
They were,
because I remember the boys being involved with
So they married
and everything. Exactly, yeah. We and Foo.
We and Foo.
But that has brought a vitality and life and interest to the congregation.
And an understanding of other people's and their backgrounds, which you wouldn't have had without that kind of contact.
You know, I mean, this is general, but when you get a new pastor, there are people who will not like what's going on, and they'll leave, and you'll get another group in, and that happened with each pastor, I think. Not great hordes of people, but, you know, there was always someone who said, well, it's not like it used to be. And if they were angry enough, they'd leave, you know. But they didn't go in droves. But I think that comes with any change. You're going to have people move out and others coming in.
Like Denise and I have said, that when Pastor Roddick was here, the emphasis was not on the kids. Right. The emphasis was not on the youth. And we had a period between Pastor Roddick's leaving and your coming where we had the supply pastors, and Jack Troutwine was a big part of that. Jack and his "What's Your Joy Today?" I think he had a hardware store downtown somewhere. I mean, he was a real part-time pastor, but just so full of joy and so different. I remember one of the first things my mother said to me about you when you came is, he remembers everybody's name.
I think Pastor Ed Whetstone was a big reason that we transitioned from a time of Pastor Loddick's retirement, resignation, until for the next 30 years. His warmth, his ability to care about people, to organize. I can tell you that not only was he a good leader, a tremendous leader, and a tremendous smoother of different egos and different points of view, But he also, in property, which I know a bit about here, was an incredibly supportive person. He really helped turn the building around physically. He helped the congregation grow. And so I really credit him with doing a lot. And and because of the way he was, we continued to be a very warm congregation.
And I don't know how you do it, but that's one of your talents and skills.
Very, yes.
But it was very, very welcoming. And we had a lot of people join the church because of that, I think.
Right.
You know, just because of their immediate relationship with you.
I was very concerned about what transition might take place when I retired. It honestly is something I thought about for a number of years. And when Pastor Asendorf was seminary in Asendorf and was here for his internship, I think God provided us a real gift in being able to provide a fairly seamless transition, and Dave brings his